Okie dokie, I think we are live. Well, thanks for joining. I know it's 5:30 in Sydney. It's only 11:30 here in Dubai, so I've got my whole day ahead of me. But it's a bit of a sauna here, and right now you're going to have a 30 minutes, a bit like a game show. We're going to have it 2-minute sort of question rounds. So stick around because this is going to be something you're going to learn from. I think right now every organization are deploying AI. And they're deploying it faster than they're actually preparing the people inside them for. So I think governance frameworks are racing to catch up. And the question I think that nobody has answered yet until now is what happens to the humans? Well, welcome to this conversation. It's on HI, human intelligence, and it's the world's first independent standard that holds organizations accountable for how they treat people through AI-driven transformation. Because as Matthew says, this is not a tech transformation, this is a human transformation. So today's guests have been living pretty much in this frontier. So Danielle Handley, a great Meet Magic supporter. Thank you, Danielle. She's a C-suite executive who's led customer digital and AI transformation at some of Australia's largest organizations. We're talking Bupa, IAG, and is now at Boston Consulting Group. And she brings the hard data on what goes wrong when the human side of AI is actually ignored. Then we've got Rebecca, who is an architect at Quantum Fusion, which is a framework which built around, for the moment, strategy, culture, and technology stop being separate functions and have to move as one. So she spent years proving that high-performing and human organizations are not necessarily a trade-off. And finally, we have Matthew Byrne, who is, as everyone knows, the adjunct faculty member and program director at AGSM at the University of New South Wales Business School. He's also an author and the custodian of HI. He's coached, taught, and mentored over 800 leaders on this program, which is a rigorous program, as everyone knows. But he's the mastermind behind the HI accreditation program. Lots of background in this stuff, so this is pretty important to note. It's a rigorous 7-domain standard that turns responsible AI transition from good intentions into something that you can actually be held to. So this is not necessarily a conversation about whether AI will change work. It's already done that. This is a conversation about whether your organization will be on the right side of that change. So let us get into it. Danielle, Rebecca,
hello,
and Matthew, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Are we all here? Oh, Matthew, you sorted your video out.
Yes, I've sorted my video out. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you absolutely fine, which is brilliant. Well, excellent. Well, welcome everyone. So you've all heard the intro. Everyone seems to know the stakes. So today, a bit of a game show style. We're playing for the highest stakes in corporate history, which is the trust of your workforce. So we have 3 heavy hitters, obviously, on the buzzers today: Danielle, Rebecca, and Matthew. So welcome. And these are the rules of the game. These are the rules. So there's 3 questions that every CEO and every chief people officer should be losing sleep. They should be losing sleep over. And I guess you two have 2 minutes each, or you 3 have 2 minutes each on the. I've got the clock here. So this is going to be a countdown for each question. So what you've got to do is drop a truth bomb from your unique vantage point. So Matthew, no waffle, no corporate bingo. just as AI would say, pure signal, right? And at the end of the show, go. We're going to ask the audience to vote on what answers have changed their minds the most. Okay, so question number 1, and let me just put this question up. It is going to be this one here. And I'm sorry, Matthew, you're going to be chopped off a little minute. Hopefully we can do it. But, okay, so let's just go to Danielle for the first question. Danielle, tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are on this question.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I guess when we ask the question, why is AI adoption stalling? I think it's about perhaps how we're measuring it. as well. So there's a bit of an illusion that we're all deploying AI and that means adoption. And that's, I guess, the challenge, because deployment is measuring sort of an internal measure in terms of licenses, tokens, seats bought, how many use cases we've got. But that's not the measure of, has change been embedded? Has experience been uplifted? Are employees fundamentally working in a different way? Have we redesigned roles and have we redesigned processes end to end? And so unless we shift some of our measurement from output to outcome, we will continue to just measure volume and not quality. And so from my perspective, that's where we're seeing that a lot of focus is on the output isn't demonstrating then the value uplift that people expected. And then we stall in terms of our change efforts and our adoption of AI. There's a lot to celebrate if we get it right in terms of outcomes can equal quality, and employees can actually have a much greater balance. And I'd love to see us start celebrating how we've given back hours for people to enjoy life and enjoy balance, rather than feeling like they've just got to work faster and harder and experience the same burnout that many do and did before AI and are still continuing to with AI. So that's my, I don't know if I went over 2 minutes, but there you go.
No, you didn't. You've got 27 seconds left. That was, it's pretty much the illusion of deployment versus adoption. And I think you've covered that pretty quickly. Rebecca, the siloed rollout, tell us what you're thinking about around this is.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Carl. So you can't bolt tomorrow's technology onto yesterday's operating model. And for me, that's really the whole answer to why adoption is stalling. The underpinning piece to that is trust. And it might feel a little bit counterintuitive in that trust is built through many different ways, but structure and governance is certainly one way to build that. And what we're seeing at the moment is there's a lot of businesses who are standing up kind of separate AI functions. You know, we're now starting to see a lot of chief of AI, and it's got its own kind of steering committees and its own reporting line and budgets. And we're hearing a lot of like delivering AI projects. And what's happening is that often doesn't map back to strategy of what the business is executing against. And that, you know, defining what the actual business problems are and what they're trying to solve, and any innovation we want to pioneer gets lost in that. So as we all know, good strategy has two-way input from people, the people who are face-to-face with customers and where they feel aligned with where the business is heading. And then if you were to bolt on like an AI function and it looks like it's running its own agenda with no transparent social license, and people don't experience it as a technology enabler anymore, all of a sudden it's a threat. And they experience it with uncertainty, and then, you know, about their jobs and their roles and what does that all mean for them and their capability. And once that uncertainty sets in, trust is eroded, and then trust in adopting the tool becomes very difficult.
You've got 30 seconds left.
Oh, look at that.
Well, I think it's important. I think what you've done there is brilliant. I think I think the takeaway is literally that you can't bolt a fifth revolution technology onto a third revolution operating model, whether that's tech or infrastructure or people. You're pretty much arguing against the fact that IT buys the tool, but HR sends the email and the strategy hopes for the best.
Yeah,
because strategy, culture, and tech aren't necessarily moving as one unified flow. And yeah, you're right. I mean, the workforce experiences. Oh, there we go. There's the 2 minutes. The workforce experiences AI as the unpredictable threat rather than the shared capability, which
Absolutely.
Is brilliant. Now, Matthew, we're going to ask you the same question. The focus here is obviously on the shadow governance problem. So same question to you. I'm going to cover your face up again because sorry about this, but just so, why is AI adoption stalling despite record investment? Tell us.
Look, I think Rebecca and Dan sort of really pointed it out. We're focused on the technology and not on the operating model, and so we've made this a technology conversation rather than a strategic conversation. And so we're not taking the time in order to understand what we're actually going to do with it. And so it's become a race to the middle, and we are all racing to adopt the AI, and then we'll work out it will work out in time what that actually means. And so one of the things that really gets to this, and the thing that I can add to this conversation, is that the issue is around trust. And when we make it this conversation around the technology and AI, the leaders are looking to abdicate some of the responsibility and some of their things that they're doing onto the machine, so that they actually create the efficiency and productivity, rather than them creating it themselves and using the machine as a tool to help them enable it. And so the conversations are wrong. And what happens is we then lose trust in our leaders, because we're not actually being led by their aspirations anymore. We're being led by a set of compliance tools, and that we're asked to comply with. And when we try to make sense of it, we then get confused even more by the fact that our leaders get it wrong, and then they try to cover it up. And so
Beautiful.
they rehire
timing.
the people.
Perfect timing. And so really, the takeaway there is that trust is the scarce resource, not compute. You're basically pointing out that these leaders have abdicated responsibility to the tool. When leaders, I think 55% of leaders who cut roles, they admit they got it wrong, which is kind of crazy. So there we heard Danielle's focus on the data and transformation reality, and tracking the licenses that we've bought, not the workflows. You've heard Rebecca's angle there on the siloed rollout, and Matthew's. So we're tracking the wrong metrics, we're working in silos, and we're bleeding trust. Okay, so I'm going to reset the clock again, and we're going to redo this one. Now we're going to move into question number 2. Where is it?
Yes.
Is this number 2? Yes. Here we go. Okay, so question number 2, and who are we going to start with here? I think we're going to start with you, Rebecca. I guess the question that's going to come up here, this is again from a quantum fusion perspective, the culture and the reality, and the shared visualization stuff. Let's ask this question here. The question is, how do you move your workforce from AI anxiety to AI confidence?
Yeah, thank you, Carl. So if I bring it back to question 1, where we talked a little bit about if trust comes from structure, then the structure itself has to be built for two-way flow. So energy flows from bottom to top and from top to bottom. And at the moment, a lot of old structures are still set up in kind of that old hierarchy way, where it's one way of flow. Often it's strategy going top to bottom, and decision making is going from bottom to top. So thinking about steering committees to your excos to your board, and then all the decisions are made at the top, where the actual work is done in the cold front is on the floor. So if we take strategy, design, confidence nor empowerment comes from a mandate that's handed down. And it comes from emergent structures. So what I mean by emergent structures is allowing that the business to live in a living system. So once that strategy and execution on the day-to-day, they keep talking to each other day-to-day. Particularly with AI, as changes move so constantly, decision-making needs to adjust at the cold front, and where the work actually unfolds. So not just at the next quarterly review or the next steering committee, we want to be able to empower our people to be able to, with guardrails, make decisions to move things through quickly. And that's why, from a structural perspective, it's more important than ever that your people and culture, your tech and your strategy functions, enabled through your PMO, whether you call it a PMO or your VMO or a strategy office, they all need to share one operating model. And that's a very different model in how many companies are used to, because that way it ensures that all three align around the strategy, the capability and role uplift, process redesign and technology all together. And that's the difference between AI being done to your people and AI being built with them.
That's so good. That is so. Basically, stop showing them the slide deck and start building the neural pathways.
Correct.
I think that's it comes from, I think Matthew talks about co-authoring the future, and when
Correct.
teams mentally rehearse the new way of working together, the brain wires for it before the action is actually taken. Perfect timing. So repeat the clock on the question. So Matthew, this is about obviously the human intelligence side. This is the leadership reality now. So the focus on obviously no blind displacement standards. What are your thoughts on that question that we're answering here? Let me just put the question back up on the screen. How do you move?
Don't start the clock until I'm ready to speak.
How do you move your
Right?
workforce?
You're taking valuable seconds away from my answer.
Okay. I'll give you 30 seconds less. Okay, go. 2 minutes. How do you move your workforce from AI? So how do we do this? How do we move our workforce to AI confidence?
So I guess one of the things that our leaders want from us is some sort of certainty and some sort of assurance, and they want us to say that my job is safe, and we can't say that, right? And Samantha, who just put a nice just mentioned the concept of unpredictability from the audience, right? And we are in this unpredictable state, and so we can't make any promises because we actually don't know what's going to happen. And so we need to find a different way in order to be able to help people to engage with this in a better way. And so if I can't tell you your job is safe, I have to tell you your job is going to change, and that what you're going to be doing is different. But I also then have to say that if I'm putting you into a state of anxiety, I have to give you some sort of an anchor. That anchor is that you matter, your work matters, you are important. This is about you, not about AI taking your job. This is about you finding your new role, and what kind of support do you need from us? What kind of help do you need from us in order to be able to find that? Because you matter. You matter to me, you matter to us, you matter to this organization. Not everybody will survive. Not people will self-select out, and people will go into different areas, and some people might not be good enough. But that is the normal selection process we have in organizations. But the starting point has to be an invitation that your work matters, what you do matters, and you matter to me. Whoa!
I really love that.
I beat the ding.
You did very well there. That was actually pretty good. So the takeaway there is you don't promise them their jobs won't change. You actually promise them transparency. And that's really it's about showing the workforce a ledger. Here's how the roles will be redesigned, and here's how you will be supported, and here is the independent human intelligence standard that we're going to hold ourselves to, which I think is beautiful. So Danielle, again, the angle for you, I guess, is the data and the transformation reality. So same question: how do we take our people, and how do we take the workforce from anxiety to confidence?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think it's a build on what Matt also said. So I think a lot of the anxiety is stemming from, the idea that we'll be replaced. Machines will take over, that and a lot of the headlines have been that, there are job cuts, and that's been the narrative to, or to date, that's been the measure of success with AI programs. I think it's actually quite concerning that we put so much stock into intelligence of AI, which is artificial, and you opened this call with human intelligence. And I think the way that we can instill confidence in our people is starting to really reveal the value of human intelligence. And if you can augment your role so that then we can celebrate the individual traits, the lived experiences, the judgment calls, the creativity, the thinking of our humans, then that's where we will build confidence in our people again. And we will start to see how their power is accentuated by leveraging AI, not replaced. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. I think confidence spikes when you use the data to prove that AI removes all the drudgery and elevating the human judgment that the company actually pays them for. So you're moving from anxiety to confidence when the tech is framed as an exoskeleton, not a replacement sort of thing. Beautiful. Well, you've actually got a minute left, Danielle. Did you want to use it for anything?
I mean, I think, like, just again, from my point of view, and what Rebecca and Matt touched on, is that confidence will be built from within the organization if we get the foundations right, in terms of people matter, people are heard, and that trust equation between, leadership and employee can be rebuilt. And, we can start to have some of the values that we've always had in terms of respect, trust, openness, transparency, and celebrate those. So, yeah.
Beautiful. I think the analogy is, if you want someone to jump out of a perfectly good airplane, you don't start by, there's the alarm. You don't start by explaining.
There's my timer.
If you want someone to jump out of a good airplane, you don't start by explaining the aerodynamics of a nylon parachute. You start by showing them that you packed the parachute yourself and that you're jumping first. And I think right now leaders are sort of handing out parachutes that they bought on the internet, and they're pointing at the door, and they're saying they're staying in their seats. And so, what you're doing there is helping them all jump together. And I sort of love that. So what you just described there is packing the chute together. I think Matthew's talking about showing them the safety certificate, and Rebecca's showing them that you can prove that the jump makes them fly faster. So one question left. Okay, and you can see the picture on the screen is about to change, and we're going up to question number 3. Oh, we got a bit of a thing from Matthew, from Samantha. I think that's to your point, Matthew, there. Okay. Question number 3. So the analogy here is that, think of a restaurant with a hygiene rating of pending in the window. So the food might be sort of, well, this is happening. You're a restaurant and you've got a hygiene standard and it's got pending. That your food might be Michelin star quality, but no one's actually walking through the door. So a social license is AI for your hygiene rating for the human capital. So without it, your best talent walks out and your customers pretty much get suspicious, and the regulators start looking in your kitchen. So who wants to come and eat there? Well, again, Matthew, we're going to ask you to start first on this question, obviously around the leadership and reality side of it. So the question, and I just put this question up on the screen. The question here, I'm sorry to cover your face up again. Oh, there we go. I'm not going to start the clock until it's ready. So the question, Matthew, is, what is your organization's social license to operate AI, and why is it becoming the greatest competitive advantage? I'm going to hide this so we can see your face. Sorry.
You can start now. And so
go.
Look, Vicky asked a question. How do we help people engage with AI? And I think what one of the things that we need to get our head around is that if we draw a diagram that has AI in the middle of it, and then we have all these spokes going out that says AI will do this, AI will do that, and AI will do this, then the human that looks at that graph and says, where am I in this graph? Where do I belong? And often the answer is, well, we don't know yet where you belong. We will work that out in the future. And so that's hard for me to stay engaged and to actually want to really deal with it. If we just use the same diagram and put the human or HI in the middle, it changes the whole conversation. And so the HI accreditation that we're running through Meet Magic is basically just doing that. It's how do we change the diagram from an AI diagram to an HI diagram? How do we put the human in the middle and put AI around it that is actually going to support you to do this? And that's then the thing that wraps everything that Danielle and Rebecca have been talking about, right? Is how do we get to the positive side of AI? And we get to the positive side of AI by not making it about AI, but making it about HI. making it about the human. Put the human in the center of it. You decide what AI will take off your plate. You make those decisions. You play with it. You learn to grow with it, and we will support you in that process. Rather than saying AI will take this away from you, and that might be the most precious thing that you've done, how you've derived your value in the past, and now you feel valueless. And then I come back to what I said about that, and then all of a sudden I have nowhere else to go but to say I don't matter anymore. That is a dangerous place. That's where the quiet quitting takes place. That's where people disengage, and that's where the system starts to fall apart.
That is perfectly on 2 minutes. And so the takeaway there for everyone is that trust isn't a feature, it's a standard. So Matthew's, driving home there that social license is the HI, the Human Intelligence Accreditation. It's the proof that you can govern the human transition just as rigorously as the technology risk. And that then becomes your competitive advantage, because the best talent will only work for accredited organizations that protect human dignity. That's pretty much what we're hearing out there in the market anyway. So Danielle, your angle obviously on the data and transformation reality, same question. I will start the clock when the question appears on the screen. So what is your thoughts on this question?
Yeah, so I guess if I think about measurement, we've often sort of measured trust and reputation with sort of external measures, so the market prices trust, and customers vote with their feet. Employees choose the organisations they want to work for, which you just mentioned. A brand itself has a dollar value and is held on the balance sheet for many organisations. And over the years, we've seen that brand value has continued to grow and increase, and some of the most dominant brands across Australia are worth billions of dollars. Roy Morgan measures it through trust and customer perception, and then RepTrak also measures company reputation. So we've had organisations with their trophy cabinets full and, really proud of those accolades, but that's all shifting now. And I think we're seeing that those algorithms that were used in the past are not the same measures for trust today. And trust is very much an experience. And as Matt mentioned too, operational decisions can quickly erode trust within the organisation and also external to the organisation. And so I think, that's where we have to win back trust internally and externally, and focus on the foundational layers and the human decency again and again, picking up on Matt's point about people matter, really making that not a shallow sort of statement, but showing that through leadership actions, behaviours, corporate, promises, and in how we deliver our promise to customers, stakeholders, and employees alike. So, the proof is in the way that we role model that as leaders, and that's our conduct, that's our action. So starting to take accountability for that too, super critical. So all of those, human behaviours start to become the measure of are we or aren't we acting with our social license, and is it a believable one? So
I love how you brought the ESG and the investors and the cost of getting it wrong into this, because the market does price trust. You're bringing the reality to the C-suite here.
Right.
Investors are demanding that the human capital, the disclosure, it's like a social license isn't just a nice to have HR badge. It's a measurable asset that protects the brand's reputation, and it lowers talent acquisition costs, and it satisfies the incoming wave of global regulation, which is going to start hitting everybody soon, I think. So, so Rebecca, the culture reality stuff, the focus on psychological safety here, I guess, same sort of question. Let me put it up on the screen, and I won't get you starting until I get my slop up on the screen. Hold on. Okay, so question to you, Rebecca. What is your organization's, you can read the question.
Yes. So social license is really the outward proof that your structures are working and that the business doesn't have the cognitive load of fear, which is really the cultural part, and the neurological part that you were referring to before, Carl. The journey is real, right? And that trust and culture and capability and integration is something people feel. and it's what our customers and our regulators and our investors can actually see. So a social license means you've built an operating model that doesn't rely on fear. And when people are spending a huge share of their cognitive load worrying about their own relevance and their mattering, that's not just a well-being issue, that's a capacity issue that you're not getting back. So you take the fear out, build the trust, create emergent structures and governance, and what you unlock is like pure, unclaimed human creativity. And the research backs this up structurally too. So Matthew's research across 1,000 AI transitions found organizations that could prove they built alignment, reached genuine alignment between AI and people more than twice as often as those that didn't. And so that's a very big difference between a transition that holds and one that will cost you years of recovery.
That's very interesting. You know, the social license really means you've built an operating model that doesn't rely on fear. And so organizations with that license, they innovate faster because their people aren't spending most of their time with that cognitive load worrying about their relevance.
Correct. Absolutely.
And that's a competitive advantage, and that's pure unlocked human creativity, which is brilliant. So I think that's it. That's the three questions that we've all done. So I guess the takeaway from that is, you know, HI is not just a badge. It's it's the premium. Oh, you finished a bit early, Rebecca. It's
just a little bit.
The premium. It's the premium you charge for not being a terrified place to work. So, all right. So pencils down. If you've got any pencils in your hand. So those questions were some amazing perspectives there. So thank you all for doing that. And I think what we need to do now, I don't know if we can do this. I'm going to try it for the first time. We want to get the audience poll live. I want to ask the audience just to maybe put an A, B, or C or something in the chat if they're watching. So the three questions which we're going to put up on the screen here is about your blind spots, and I'm going to show this poll. Let's see if I can get it up on the screen. So, what did you basically take away from today? Which of today's three questions? And I probably could have framed them a bit better and mentioned them. Well, it's the first time we're doing this, so give us a break. We're learning. Which is the biggest blind spot for your organization right now? Is it A, the adoption stall, and that's the engine without a driver? That was the first picture that you saw. Is it B, the anxiety gap? That's the parachutes without the trust. Or is it C, the social license, the hygiene rating? So if you can stick some, I don't know, some A's or B's or whatever in the chat. Can you actually press on that? I can't even see if you can press on it. I don't even know how that poll works. Can you actually? Let me move. Matthew, sorry, I'll move you out of the way. I didn't know I could do that.
Well, I'm pressing on it and nothing's happening, right? So.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we just might have to just.
I think it says type 1, 2, or 3 in the chat.
Carl made a great point about that. Already the regulations are coming in, and that LinkedIn and Google are going to start deprioritizing, AI written content, and I think one of the most important things we need to understand that if we as humans are not leading that AI content, if it's not actually polishing what we want to express, then it's only going to give us retrospective information. And it's not going to give us future information. So and that's where the value of the human side is. It's our thinking, how we think, and how we take it forward, because we are forward thinking, whereas AI is retrospectively thinking.
I love it, and thank you all for supporting this journey that we're all on. I think I just want to say thank you to you all. I know this is the first of 12-part series. So every Friday, 5:30 Sydney time, 11:30 Dubai time, we're going to have a 12 series. So the next week's series is going to be around module 2, which is around human-centric AI design. So we'll show you exactly how to design AI that people actually trust, adopt, and use. So if today you realize that your organization is investing in better technology but forgetting to invest in better humans, then you're in the right place. and this series should give you some answers to that. So, Danielle, Matthew, from Dubai, I want to say thank you very much. We're going to end the stream, and we'll talk to you all after.
Excellent. Goodbye. Bring a
Goodbye.
friend next
you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bring a what?
Bring a friend next time.
Yeah. Mate, I've got no friends. I'm Johnny No Mates. You know that. Startup founders don't have mates. They're mates with
The
their
people
laptop,
that
and
watch
that's it.
us, they have friends, right? They have a life, right?
I love it. Absolutely brilliant. Thanks, guys. See you. Have a good weekend.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care. See
Bye-bye.
everyone.